Alright, so I got quite a few requests on the solar node that I posted on the Facebook Meshtastic group and the build process or just how I built it. This is going to be the video on how you build it. So I started with a 200 by 100 by 70 IP67 rating electrical box with the metal clips for durability and such. There you go. So started with one of these, got an Alpha 915 antenna here. Got quite a few 3D printed parts and such. The files will be posted in the description, so you can print them yourselves. We got quite a few of them. Next is the solar panel. This is a 6-watt solar panel from SoShine. It has just a normal USB and another power plug, and we're going to be using the power plug for this build. We also have two 18650 battery holders. Next, we have an N-type female connector to IPX. This is for the antenna. Next, we have some battery connectors. We have more battery connector cables from Rack Wireless. We actually have two different types. One's for the solar input and one's for the battery. Next we have the BMS board. I got this from AliExpress. It's a 5 amp board, which I think is perfect for the build that we have today. Next we have the Rack Wireless Rack 4630 board heat shrink tubing. We have a PG7 IP68 rating cable gland. This is for the power cord from the solar panel to inside the actual housing. Alright, so for tools and hardware and such, you'll need some step bits, a drill, 40mm M6 screws. I also have a whole screw set from M3 to M6 screws, nuts, and wash. We only need 2 M5 screws, and we'll need a few different sizes of the M6 screws. You're gonna need some 3M marine adhesive sealant. I have the 5200. Alright, we'll also need some wire, so I have some red wire here and some black wire. This is going to be for the battery pack that we're making. Alright, and also you're going to need some 18650 batteries. We're also going to need a soldering iron and some solder. We're going to need some bleeder valves. This is going to be at the bottom of the unit. I don't have any more. This is another unit I'm actually working on, but that is for temperature fluctuations. That's pretty important if you're doing a long-term node, such as like what we're doing here. Having one of these is very crucial, I think, in my opinion. Also for mounting, I've got this pole mounting hardware. I mount mine on the exhaust standpipe from the sewer. Those little pipes that you see on the roof of everybody's houses, that's what I mount mine on. It's pretty convenient. It's high up and you get good signal up there. Alright, so on the first notch here, you want to go one over to the second one here. I orient my boxes so that the little lock hole here is on the bottom part of the box. And we're going to be doing it on the clip side. And we're going to measure from that notch 3/8 to the center. Alright, so I made my little notch. My step bit kit came with a little puncher. So I just measured out 3/8 and went boom. Like that. Next you're going to get your step bit. I marked mine where we need to drill to. You're going to want to drill out till the 5/8 mark. Alright, as you can see, I drilled out the hole to 5/8. Now if you were to try to just put it in now, it wouldn't really work. I mean, you could thread it in yourself like this and create a thread in the actual thing. I'm not going to do that. I haven't done that with my other node that I have set up. I just used a deburring tool. You can use your drill to drill it out a little bit more, but don't go too much. Don't go too much, because you got a little gasket here that you want to be able to actually make contact with the edge to form a seal. Let's open it up and see if this fits in. So it fits really well. Now you could use the marine adhesive, but in this, I'm not going to use that right now. Hopefully I don't have an issue in the future. Washer, other washer, and then the nut on. Alright, so we have that. Next we're going to install this cable gland. We're going to do the same measurement, 3/8 from the other side now. So from this notch, we're going to do 3/8 and plop that right in there. So the size for the cable gland hole, that's going to be 7/16. As you can see, I marked it again, about 3/8 from that second notch. So next we're going to deburr it again, just a little bit bigger. So let's see if this fits. Perfect. Okay, so it's a snug fit too. That's what you need. But regardless, we're gonna put adhesive on this one. I don't trust these glands that much. Okay, next you want to grab this little cable that comes with the solar panels and take the twist tie off here. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna snip the end off here, and then we're gonna strip the wire here. I strip maybe 1.5 inches about. Alright, and then you have the black and red wire here. You want to strip those as well. So next, you want to grab your heat shrink tube here. I put it maybe about 3 inches from where we stripped the wire here. And then I'm going to take my heat gun. We're going to shrink the tube. I'll explain why we're doing this. So, there's one. Let it cool for a little bit. Alright, you want to take another one. So this is 2 now. You're going to put it right over the other one. And then you want to shrink that one as well. Alright, let that cool. Alright, now you want to take a third one. And again, repeat the process like the second one. Slide it right over both of those. And then shrink it. Alright, so now you got your stripped end. And then you got your connector end. Connector end, this is going to go outside of the box. This is going to connect to the solar panel. Now the reason why we did this heat shrink tubing and we layered it 3 times is because for the life of me, I could not find a cable gland that was small enough to fit around and crimp onto this wire. Now before we put this in the actual housing, we're going to tighten it. You want to get it as tight as you can. Now we're going to feed this in through the top of the box, and then we're going to screw it in from the bottom. But before we do that, we're going to put some of the adhesive around it to ensure a good seal. Alright, so you don't really have to work quick with this stuff. It's a 48-hour dry. I put quite a bit on the thread area and the gasket area. Alright, so now we have it connected here. But that's not going to be enough adhesive, at least for my liking. I want a good seal here. We're going to put some more adhesive here. Alright, so I put quite a bit amount of marine adhesive on the cable gland here. That's just to ensure a tight seal. Now I might do that to the end type connector, but I feel like the gasket will suffice. Alright, next you want to get the battery connectors, the ones that we got from AliExpress. One male connector from Rack Wireless, and then another male from Rack Wireless. This is going to be the solar input. And then also the BMS. We're going to start by soldering the BMS. So we're just going to tin it first. So we're going to do the solar side of the BMS first. So let's do that now. So the top right now, that is positive, and the bottom is negative. Alright, so we're going to tin the power input now. So now we're going to take the other wire and we're going to do the same thing. So here's the BMS all soldered up. Kind of a crappy solder job, but it'll suffice. Alright, now you want to take the female connector and we're going to connect this to the solar output line here. So basically this connects into the BMS like this. So these two will connect like that, right? And the solar input will come in and then it'll go straight to the Rack Wireless board and charge the batteries. So I have this heat shrink tubing. I'm going to slide these on first. Alright, so now we're going to heat shrink this. Alright, so now you have your solar input, and this will go straight to the BMS that we soldered before. Alright, so now we have our 18650 battery holders, and we're going to connect them in parallel. So positive side, we're going to daisy chain, boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. This is so that we have more amp hours, so the battery life is longer, so there's more capacity. Alright, so I wired it all up in parallel here, and for the ending, we're going to have the last connector. This is the battery connector that goes straight into the Rack Wireless 4630. So now, we're just going to solder everything first, and then place it in the box, and that'll be that. Alright, so we soldered the battery bank here, and now we're going to fit it into the enclosure. Alright, so we're going to try and fit this in here. It's going to be a tight fit because of the leads on the outside. It's going to be a really tight fit. Might scrape the side of your box, but that's okay. Alright, so we're going to try fitting these batteries in here. There's the battery pack, all done. Alright, so we're going to do a little test here. I'm going to screw on the Alpha 915 antenna here. Alright, so I screwed on the Alpha 915 antenna, and now we're going to take our rack wireless board and only disconnect, because it'll come connected. It'll have the antenna connected and the Bluetooth antenna connected, but you want to take the normal antenna off, and then you want to take the IPX connector and connect that here. So now your antenna is connected. Now before you turn on your rack wireless device, you always want to have an antenna connected, or else you can fry the board. Alright, now we're going to take the lead from our battery bank that we just made. We're going to test the rack wireless board, and you should see a green light, and it should start blinking a little bit. So it's blinking now, so that means that we do have power, and so we can set this up on our phone and everything. But let's continue the process of building this whole entire contraption. Alright, so we're going to start by adding the BMS back into the circuit here. So we're just going to connect it to the solar input, and then this will plug into the rack wireless board. Let's go ahead and install that now. Alright, so next we have two 6mm M3 screws. These are going to be used to mount the rack wireless 4630 in the enclosure here. It won't line up perfectly, but you can make it fit. Alright, now the rack wireless 4630 board is mounted. Let's connect this antenna back. Now you can take the BMS contraption that we got going, and we can connect that. So the small connection on the rack wireless is solar input, and then the large is the battery input / output. So we're going to connect the small end. Alright, so we got the solar panel here. So now we're going to attach the brackets to the solar panel. Alright, so these are the 3D printed brackets that I have. I'll list the all the parts and items and such that you'll need down in the description. Alright, so now we're going to start off with 4 M6 16mm screws, 2 washers each, and 1 nut each. And we're just going to put it on all these corners here. Alright, as you can see, I connected all the screws here and bolts and such, so this is what it should look like. Next, we're going to get these brackets, and they're going to go across like this, and then this little part is going to go inside. That's the hinge. Alright, so I connected it all up, the hinge and the side brackets. Now for the screws, the cross screws that go through here, these are 40mm M6 screws, and you need 5 of them. Alright, now you're going to need to get your last bracket, and then 2 M5 screws, these are 12mm, and 2 washers to go with it. And we're going to mount this bracket on the top part of the housing here. Alright, so now the bracket's connected. This is what it should look like. I designed it this way so that you're able to actually access the internals of the enclosure here. So now we're going to connect the solar panel to this part, and then we'll be done. Alright, so to mount it, you're going to need a 30mm M6 screw, 2 washers, and a nut. This slides in between here, and then we'll be done. So now that it's connected, as you can see, you can pivot this up and down, and still open this enclosure. Still open it. Now you just connect the connector. You're basically done. All you do is connect your antenna, and you got yourself a solar node now. How about that? That's really cool. Alright, so it's been 48 hours. I want to let the marine adhesive dry, and it's dry now. I've also put on the mounting bracket. The enclosure came with 4 screws and these other brackets, but we only need 2 of the screws. And that's how I mounted the bracket onto the enclosure. So we're going to go on the roof and deploy this node. Alright, so I'm on the roof, and we're going to deploy the node. There's the other one that I posted on Facebook. As you can see, I just put on the sewer standpipe here. So, do another one. Probably that black one right there. Alright, so it's mounted on the standpipe here, as you can see. A lot of fingerprints, but you can wipe those off. And you can easily access the internals of the housing here, as you can see. I don't have it plugged in yet. We'll do that now. So it's all plugged in now. You see this red light? That is showing that we have power from solar. So there is power from solar. And then the flashing light means that we have power to the board and the board is on. So I'm gonna go set this up on my phone, and yeah, so there's my second node. Alright, so we're just gonna close this up. And so that's how you make a solar node. Again, I'm gonna show you the one I have over here. So 2 solar nodes here. There's the one from Facebook, and there's the one that we just built.